When Miguel's got Miles pinned to the wall, Miles is like, nah, I'm going to do it my way.
Everyone keeps telling me how my story is supposed to go. I'm going to do my own thing.
People are going to tell you in your life, this is how your life's supposed to look. But do you want to create a different path yourself?
Remember when they're in Mumbai? Oh,
I wanted to ask you about that.
I loved that.
Being Spider-Man is so easy.
What's that? The Indian Spider-Man with the hair.
What was his name?
My name is Pravitra Prabhakar.
I can't remember.
Well, let's call him Punjab Parker for now.
He's not even Punjabi, you fucking racist.
What did you just say? Chai means tea, bro.
You know, Peter Parker has the baby, and he's like, oh, like my life's totally different since I had this baby. My life was totally about how I feel. That's why I was so messed up. And I love that Peter Parker, he's demonstrating when my life's not about me, it can be amazing. Woo! Welcome back. Sorry. Welcome forward, ladies and gents, to another episode of
Nerd Life.
Yeah. What's up? It's been a little while. I'm Sachin.
I'm Alex.
And we're two friends and life coaches that live in London, East London right now. We started this podcast because we love video games, anime, movies, TV shows, comic books, and we wanted to, we have these conversations about, oh, I watched this thing or I played this thing, this is the lesson I got from it. We have these conversations anyway, and we wanted to share them with you because these things have really changed our lives.
Yeah, like big time. Like the learnings that we've been getting from all of these things, movies, TV shows, animes, comics, like it's just, there's such profound wisdom in them. And what we like to do between us is like extract that wisdom, and then we talk about it. And then one day we were like, this could make quite a fun podcast. Why don't we just buy some stuff and sit down and record? And a few episodes later, here we are. So welcome.
Welcome, indeed.
Yeah.
And do we have quite the episode for you today?
Oof.
Wait, before that, I want to show off my socks. We know about this. Itachi Uchiha on the socks. Looking all kinds of fresh. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I've got the Take It Chill t-shirt. Not quite as relevant, but it's still fun.
Yeah, I don't know what anime that's from.
I'm going to make one and put this t-shirt in it.
All right, nice.
How about that?
I like that. Main character's got chill vibes.
A bit of foreshadowing there for you. So yeah, today we've got a bunch of stuff that we want to talk about. Mainly, I can't remember the name
Across
of it. Across the Spider-Verse. Next, it's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. Okay, first things first. I love, so I took one of my clients to watch it with me, and she's like, I've never seen a movie like this in my life because it's so like artistically done. It's great.
Beautiful. Like, people are calling it the best superhero movie of all time.
Okay, I wouldn't go that far.
The story, because of the way it's like the animation, like I loved it for all the little details. You know, I love the little details on stuff, but I actually thought like what it brought up story-wise, like man, I took so many notes. I was so into the movie. Normally when I'm watching a movie and I'm taking notes, I'm just like, yeah. This one I was like, wow, typing as I was looking at the screen, like, so I didn't want to miss anything. And then I was like checking to see if I'd spelled everything right, and fortunately I did. But I really love the main thing that I got out of it was like, and spoilers. It's the normal sound.
I love that sound that Mick puts in it. By the way, Mick is our producer / genius who helps us operate this podcast and gives us all the goodness. So thanks, Mick.
Yeah, we look so good because of Mick. So thank you, Mick.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I love the thing that it came down to of like the choice between saving one person or the entire world, like the ultimate moral dilemma. Do you want to save this one person's life, or do you want to save the entire world? Because to give some context around that, there's these canon events that happen to every Spider-Man, and if they don't happen, then that particular universe of that particular Spider-Man starts to crumble. And Miles Morales, who's the main protagonist, shall we say, of the movie, has the moral dilemma of, oh, my dad's just become captain. That means that he's going to be the person to die, because there's always Captain Stacy or whatever who always dies in every Spider-Man story. And it's like, do I save him and potentially the rest of my universe crumbles? Or do I let him die? He's my dad. Do I let him die? and everyone else gets to survive. And it's like, what do you want, and what is the cost of what you want? That's what I'm getting from it. It's like, do you weigh that up? Like, at what cost are you going to go for the thing that you want? Your dream, your project, your ideas, turning your life around, you know. We've all, I wouldn't say all, but like us two, we've made certain sacrifices in our lives to be where we are. Like, I spent so many years of my life depressed and unhappy and miserable, and the sacrifice that I had to make was just to prioritize myself for a number of years. I was single for like 7 years because I was just prioritizing myself. I wasn't interested in relationships. I wasn't interested in certain things because I was just like, I need to prioritize myself. I need to like better my relationship with myself, so then I can be good in a relationship. I wanna create or connect to a sense of peace or love for myself, so that then I can share that with someone else. And there's a big sacrifice that comes with that. You know, there's a massive cost for me, you know, especially like throughout the period of, you know, like late 20s into early 30s. That's kind of your prime time of life, as people might say in big quotation marks. And, you know, it's like, are you willing to pay the price for the thing that you want? Are you willing to pay the price of the time that it goes into creating a project or a business? Are you willing to sacrifice or dedicate your daily life to eating healthy, drinking water, getting plenty of sleep, got training 2-3 times a week if you want to have a healthy lifestyle? You know, people, and it's not like, it doesn't have to be a doom and gloom thing, like, oh, it's a big cost and it's a big sacrifice, but it's just like, understand like what is the thing that you're gonna have to do, and what's some of the things that you're gonna have to give up in order to, like, I had to give up biscuits basically. I love biscuits, man.
For all of our American viewers and listeners, we're talking about cookies.
Put that cookie down now.
Cookies, I love them. And here's the extent at which that I love biscuits, right? When I first moved out of my parents' house, I remember having a conversation with my mum, and she was like, oh, I've just realized that you're the one who eats all the biscuits, because since you've left, like, the biscuits don't seem to disappear as quickly. So part of me, like, cleaning up my diet and focusing on my health, is like, I had to give up something that I genuinely enjoy eating. If you put a packet of biscuits here right now, I'd probably eat them all throughout this recording. So there's things like that, you know, just stop drinking alcohol, which it doesn't sound like a big cost, but it has implications of when you go out and how you spend time with your friends and stuff like that. So, you know, it's like, what is the cost of what you actually want, and are you willing to go down that path or not?
I like the question that gets asked when they say, like, oh, you can't interrupt this canon event, it's gonna crumble the universe. He's like, how do you know? Like, I think I used to do this a lot, right? I'd catastrophize.
Yeah. Still do. Still do, my man.
That yeah looked like you fucking related in your.
I had to fan myself down after that one.
3 hours later.
Oh man, that was really funny. I forgot what I was saying. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I was catastrophizing the fuck out of so many little things, and like taking it to massive extremes. And you see Miguel, the Spiderman 2099, doing that. He's like, no, and he's become so serious because of it. Like, he's in control and he has to keep order and all this shit. And Miles has the innocence / arrogance of youth on his side. He's like, yeah, but how do you know? And they're like, no, we're following these rules. Shut up. You don't know what we're doing, blah, blah. He's like, nah, man, that might not be true. And I really like playing with this question at the moment. Do you want that to be true? That on its own. And sometimes people are like, oh, but you don't get it. This is my personality. I'm just, hey, do you want that to be true? Not it feels true. Fuck all of that. It's choice. What do you want? And I really like that. It's a, like, this is how I looked at the movie. Yeah? Miles Morales is all of the Spider-Mans, and all of the Spider-Mans are Miles, right? Yeah. So it's like us. We have different versions of ourselves that live inside of us. And sometimes they're in conflict with each other. Sometimes they're in harmony with each other. Sometimes they're indifferent. Sometimes they don't interact. And the seriousness of Miguel and the carefree, like, happy-go-lucky, or like a really hopeful part of Miles, it's like parts of us that exist, the catastrophizing part and the hopeful part. Who's gonna win? And it reminds me of this story. So we're both.
Go on.
No, you look like you had
I was going to see if it's going to be the story that just came to my mind. So you go.
Okay, all right. So I've been reading Straight Line Leadership lately. Oh, yeah, isn't it?
It is.
All right. So there's a story of a Cherokee chief, a native Indian chief. That's a private joke. We're not going to explain that. If you know, you know. Hef. So the chief's explaining to his grandson a story, and he goes to his grandson, there's a terrible fight going on inside of me and in all men and in all people. There's a fight between two wolves. One is evil. It's full of greed, envy, jealousy, inferiority, superiority, hate, and like what something else. Resentment, yeah. So, and a bunch of other bad things. And he goes, there's another wolf that is fighting against it, and this one is good. It's full of love, peace, joy, happiness, equality, blah, blah, blah. And the grandson goes, which one's going to win? And he says, whichever one you feed. And I see that reflected in the Spider-Man movie. Like, whichever side we feed, that's the side that's going to win. If we're feeding the catastrophizing stuff, that's going to consume us. We're going to turn out like Miguel. Look at him. He goes, oh, I broke up this canon event, then I turned into a vampire. All right, well, maybe that didn't have to happen. With your serious bullshit, I'm not surprised. You know, you see this a lot, yeah? They're like people who are too serious. It used to be me. I don't know if you remember, yeah? It used to be like, remember when you first met me? I was like quite serious, but also like a bit of an idiot.
Yeah.
Not in a mean way, but just like I was a bit very silly. And I used to be like polar opposites, but at the same time. And now I'm like even more silly and even more carefree and not taking things as seriously. And it's quite funny because my life looks serious, but I'm not acting serious with it. I was messing around with someone the other day. We were talking about working together, and they were like, well, Sachin, how can you be so chilled about this conversation? You've told me multiple times we don't have to do this. I'm like, yeah, we don't. I'm just speaking to what's true in it. We don't have to do it.
Yeah.
I think it's quite fun.
Yeah, and it's like, I think one of my favorite parts of the movie was, I think it's the bit where Miguel's got Miles pinned to the wall, and Miles is like, everyone keeps telling me how my story's supposed to go, but nah, I'm gonna do it my way.
Everyone keeps telling me how my story is supposed to go.
You have no idea what you're doing!
Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
And then he just like, I don't know what he does, but he leaps off the building or whatever. And it's like, yeah, like people are going to tell you in your life, this is how your life's supposed to look. You're supposed to go to school, and then you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this. And it's like, do you want to follow that path because you're being told that's what you should do? Or do you want to create a different path yourself, which could still look the same, but you're not doing it out of a place of like, you're being forced into it because it's what you should do. It's you're creating your own version of it. And that's like what Miles is getting at. He's like, I'm going to create this for myself. It doesn't need to be this way just because it's like this for you guys. Like,
Say that again.
It doesn't need to be this way just because it's like that for all of you. You know, and I think it really speaks to the fact that, and this is a massive spoiler, like this. So if this is a normal spoiler this size and my hands are about 6 inches apart, this is a gigantic one, and my arms are as wide as they will go. They basically say that Miles Morales is an anomaly because he wasn't supposed to be bitten by the spider that he got bitten by, which turns him into Spiderman because it came from a different universe. It came from universe 42 or something. Anyway, so like he's the original anomaly. And I was like, yeah, cool. Well, if I'm going to be the anomaly in my universe for everyone else to see, like, oh, wait, actually, by being an anomaly, like nothing terrible is going to happen. The universe isn't going to collapse in on itself. Like the world isn't going to explode because I'm, you know, doing things in a way that isn't the normal way, in inverted commas. Cool. I'm happy to be that for people. Like that's how I've seen my life up until this point. It's like, you know, I had to kind of, and I say this and I don't mean it in a negative way, but like turn my back on the way that I thought my life should look to then, you know, see the clearing of the path on the other side to see like actually how do I want it to look and start to walk down that path instead. And some people will be like, right, that's a bit mad. Like a lot of my friends, like they're like don't really get it. They're like, you didn't really get like the work that I do and like the way that I live, because it's like it's not normal. It's like an anomaly to them. But I'm happy to show people that you can be an anomaly and it's cool.
Yep, that's the thing, man. Like, I was having this conversation with my mom yesterday, and she said, I never understood at the time. In 2015, I cut off all of my family except for my parents and my brother and my dogs. And it was like Indian people don't do that. You know, like, you have a massive Indian family. You do what everyone says. You respect your elders by doing what everyone says. And if you're a kid, you don't know shit, shut the fuck up. And it was really tough on my mom and dad when I decided not to have anything to do with everyone. Then my brother joined me, and he was even harder on them. And then my mom joined us, and he was really hard on my dad. And then my dad was like, okay, I get the message. And then we all stopped having like contact with them. But my mom was saying to me yesterday, like, I didn't realize it at the time, and I really didn't like you for it. But I think this was the best thing for us because that needed to happen for me to see who these people are. And we were classed as the anomalies. Like, we didn't look like any of our family, which was a big point of contention. My mom, you see what my mom looks like. She doesn't look Indian, does she?
No.
And
barely.
like, yeah, when we looked very different, and we didn't talk the same, and we didn't listen to the same music, and the whole, like, the distance started growing even more. And I feel like this is describing a lot of people's past who are waking up to, and you know, sometimes there's a superiority that comes with this waking up saying. I'm not saying that you're waking up to something that other people aren't, like, they have to be privileged and get access to. It's not that. It's waking up to who you really are. So you stop being inauthentic. So you stop doing stuff that doesn't make sense to you. And when Miles says, like, everyone's telling me how my life should go, it's like school to an extent, parents, jobs, like people don't know what's best for us. Only we will ever know. But it takes waking up to actually see what's best for you. Because it can be really immature. Like, no, what's best for me is playing video games and staying in bed. No.
Yeah. But and this is where I said it's like, and you know, the life that you live might actually look like the one that people are telling you should live, but you're just creating it yourself rather than like creating it from like a small like limitation. And there's another bit that I thought was really cool was the with Spiderman in general, but I think you particularly see it with Miles, where there's the bit where, you know, is it Spider-Gwen? She comes back to see him, and she's like, "Oh, follow me," and she's like this sick like acrobatic skills, and she's slinging webs, and Miles is like trying to copy her and follow her. And I got this thing of like he's learning on the go, like and Spider-Man always has like learned on the go how to be Spider-Man, right? And I think there's something really beautiful in that, because I was having a conversation with someone a couple of weeks ago now, and we were talking about coaching. They want to start like get their coaching business moving, and they were like, "Oh, you know, I don't feel like I need to learn some more, like I don't feel like I've got enough information," and etc. etc. And I said to them, like, hold on a second. I said, "You're a mum, aren't you?" She was like, "Yeah." I said, "How old's your kid?" She goes, "Oh, she's 5. I said, "All right, so when your kid was born, did you know 100% how to be a parent?" And she was like, well, you know, I did like some learning, and you speak to your friends and you do this and you that. I said, "Yeah, but could you say that at the moment your child was born that you 100% knew exactly what to do in every moment?" She was like, "No." And I said, "So what did you do?" She was like, "Well, I kind of had to learn as I had to become a parent. I had to learn to be a parent." I said, "What if it's the same with coaching? You just start helping people, and this doesn't just have to be coaching, this can be anything. Start helping people, and you learn as you go, and you build skills, you build confidence, you build momentum, you build experience, same as you've done with a mum. The only difference with you and your kid is like you know that it's a deep commitment that you have. You're not going to not be a parent to her, you're going to raise her. What if you had the same thing with your coaching business? You'd learn on the go. That's what I feel like I've done. Totally learned on the go. You know, still am. You might be the same. I know other coaches that we know that are the same. And again, it's not a coaching thing. This can be any part of your life that you look at. Like, am I just trying to get more information on the thing, or am I really willing to like learn on the go and give myself the grace to like mess up and make mistakes? And like Miles is like, he's slinging his webs, and he's like bumping into like buildings and like trucks and stuff. And
All of my fears were already in. And if I could rewind it for you, if you could remind me of
You know, and I think there's something so powerful in that, man. Just like,
The thing I think that holds a lot of us back from not doing that is we would judge ourselves harshly for the mistakes we make while we're learning on the go. And as a possibility, the only thing we're ever running from is our own judgments of ourselves.
But the only thing that's ever holding us back is our judgments of ourselves as well.
You know, I love this bit in Straight Line Leadership. Yeah, Dusan Dukic. Shout out. He ain't watching this or listening to this, but fuck it. Shout out Dusan Dukic, you madman. Oh my God. I would bow down and kneel when I meet him. No, no, fuck that. I'm not going to. I'm going to shake your hand like a man.
So Dusan Dukic he's the author of this book, Straight Line Leadership, and I've been recommending it to a few people, and they're like, "Oh, what's it about?" And I said, "It's basically the book equivalent of getting a slap around the face to sort yourself out."
Hey, have you seen the subtitle of the book?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Living with velocity and power in tough times.
Turbulent times.
Yeah, that's it. Fuck. Yes. All right. Yeah. Anyway, there's this part where he goes, there's 3 types of performers, yeah? So the first type is the circular performer. They get 0 done, 0 is a circle, because they're circling the issue. They're roaming around and around and around trying to answer questions about the thing that they need to do before doing it. Then there's zigzag performers who do a lot, then nothing, then do a lot. It's very inconsistent. And then there's straight line performers who just find the quickest point from A to B. And if there isn't one, they'll make one and they'll get it done. He goes, the thing that keeps people stuck in the zigzag and circular performance is they're looking for new and better information before starting. Whereas the straight line performer just uses what they've already got. They use what they already know. Get in, let's go. And it's like, you see this with so many things, but I've seen it with myself, like with kickboxing, right? I don't know all of the techniques. I know jab, and I know cross, I know hook, uppercut, elbows, knees, and teeps and kicks.
Hopefully some blocks as well.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I know a few blocks. Now I'm starting to use this block, which is way more effective because you can actually see instead of doing this. But I'm probably going to forget when it comes time to fighting people, yeah, the adrenaline takes over, all this stuff. If I'm looking for new and better information, I'm going to have so much theory that it's actually going to weigh me down when I'm fighting.
You can call it the art of fighting without fighting.
Instead of being helpful for me, because I'm going to be trying to remember stuff instead of just learning on the go.
Yeah, and I was listening to this thing yesterday, and they were talking about like the ordinary actions create extraordinary results. And I was like, oh, this is a banger, because like let's look at your kickboxing as an example, right? Yeah, right. You're going to be having a fight in a few weeks' time now, a month's time, as of recording, and what have you done to track? Not much. It's like you go to your kickboxing class, how many other times a week?
Recently it's been just a lot less, but yeah, I have one-on-one coaching sessions with my kickboxing coach, and I go to the classes about 3 times a week.
And then you do a gym class in your own time outside of that.
I work out on lift weights about 3-4 times a week.
There's nothing extraordinary about that. It's like go to the class and lift weights when you don't go to the class. It's pretty ordinary, and the extraordinary result is that you're going to have your first kickboxing fight and win it, because that's what
I'm gonna beat that ass.
We're willing that into the universe.
I came across some fun information. So I'm 65 kg. Apparently I don't look it, and I'm big for my weight class. Like I didn't realize that. This just dawned on me yesterday, because I was looking at everyone that I've sparred with. Everyone is heavier than me, and by a lot, like 75, 80, 85, 90. And as you get higher up, even though people are like pulling their punches, it's still like a big difference, right? And I asked my coach, I'm like, hey, I just realized I'm a lot lighter than everyone. Does that mean, like, what does that mean for who I'm fighting? He goes, you'll probably be fighting people shorter than you or a lot thinner than you.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, that'd be fun.
Yeah. And it's like the ordinary thing. Like I was seeing it even with my health journey, right? It's like I feel like I'm in great shape right now.
Yeah, you look it.
Physically, mentally, emotionally. And it's like, there's nothing extraordinary that goes into it. It's eat well, eat plenty of greens, drink plenty of water, sleep well, 7 to 8 hours a night. And I only go to the gym like 3 times a week. sometimes 2. There's nothing extra. I'm not like running 20 miles 5 times a week. I'm not like doing some mad like 7-hour like cardio or like fucking CrossFit class. Just go to the gym and do some body weight, like calisthenics type stuff, 2-3 times a week. I do some stretching in the morning, and that's it. It's not anything extraordinary. It's just doing ordinary things on a very consistent basis create what looks like extraordinary results. And I was like, oh, man, that's so sick. You can apply that to anything: relationships, business, health, finances, I don't know, name a few other things. I can't think of anything else.
Those are the important ones.
Well, look at Spider-Verse, right? We'll be like, oh wow, like this looks amazing. Just pretty ordinary things that they would have done along the way.
Yes.
Small ordinary things. Program this, program that.
It started off with black and white drawings, and then they colored them.
Yeah.
Like this one step. This is another thing, man. Do the doable. Do what's in front of you, and then move on to the complicated stuff. That's what I like, throwing spinning back kicks. And my coach was like, right, you need to fucking relax with all of that, yeah? You can throw them later on. Yeah, get the basics right first. Do what's in front of you. I'll still do it sometimes. It's fun, but like, I love that, like, the whole thing about do the doable. That's how you move on and progress to where you want to get to.
Yeah. Is there anything else from Across the Spider-Verse that jumped out at you?
I really like the dynamic between Captain Stacy and Gwen. You know, he catches her, she reveals her identity, and he's really like, he's just confused, and he's like a man of duty. And yeah, it points to something like, you know, when kids do drugs and the parents are really against it. Oh my God, you're doing drugs. Like, it's just stuff that kids are gonna do. I don't have kids, and when I do, and one of them says, Dad, I've heard of this thing called weed. What is it? I'll be like, right, son or daughter, sit down. I'm gonna roll you a joint. I'm gonna get you so high that you understand what weed is. Or by that point, I might be like, yeah, it's just a plant. Like, it's no big deal. Whatever. I don't know. But what I got from the dynamic between Captain Stacy and Gwen is like, he's so on one side, he can't see his daughter anymore. He's seeing a criminal. He's so far gone in, he's so sucked into I'm right and self-righteousness, which we've had conversations about, that like, he's lost sight of the reason why he fucking had a kid in the first place. You know, like, self-righteousness, the need to be right, is one of the things that destroys relationships. Oh no, but I'm right. Oh no, so because I'm right, you need to give me an explanation. If I don't like your explanation, fuck you, because I'm right. And it's I've had this for years with my mom and dad. Oh, like, you shouldn't have raised us like this. How the fuck were they supposed to know? My dad was 24 and my mom was like 20 when they had my brother.
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mad.
Insane. Look at what we were doing when we were 24 and 20.
I wasn't having kids and I wouldn't have wanted to.
Exactly. We wouldn't have been equipped. Neither were they. But the self-righteousness in me was like, yeah, fuck them because they made mistakes. That's because I have that judgment on me. And look at him, Captain Stacy. He don't look happy when Gwen comes back, does he? Because he's so caught up in his self-righteousness that he judges himself harshly. He has that attitude with her because that's the attitude he has with himself. And it's a real nod in the direction of how much are we judging ourselves let me start again. It's a nod in the direction of the way we judge ourselves is reflected in the way we judge others.
Yeah.
The way he's like so hard, like coming down so hard on her, that's what he does to him. And when she said, you look thin, you've lost weight, I'm not fucking surprised. Sitting around judging all day, it's tiring.
Yeah, that's a good, yeah. And I think that it's true, man. Like, I always see it like with my parents. I'm like, sometimes I imagine them as being like 16-year-old kids and see them like acting in the same way that they act now. And I'm like, oh, you've literally just grown up. Like you've got older. That's it. Like, and I'd probably still be the same, like between like now or like when I was like in my 20s to when I get to my 60s, I'm probably going to be fairly similar. And it's just like, you know, it's a reminder, like, yeah, like parents, I think, are no one's equipped to be a parent, really. You learn it on the job, as we were saying before, right? You learn it on the job and you adapt. And that's it. And it's like when you start to see that, and this is with anything, with any relationship, people are learning how to be in relationships all the time. You see the innocence in people. You're like, oh, okay, it's just an innocent misunderstanding that you have. And it just straight away, it for me anyway, it drops my level of judgment or my level of like frustration in a situation. And I just return back to like, okay, now I can love you because I can see through the innocence.
That's the thing I love about what Gwen says. She's like, look, you became a cop because you know other people are going to put on that badge who don't have the same intentions as you, and you want to do what's right. Yeah, me too.
You have to understand, this mask is my badge.
And I think like this is where parents and kids, or maybe like spouse relationships, can go a bit wrong. Like it looks like we're on different teams, but we're not.
Yeah.
You know, like I can think of a bunch of examples where I've been in the doghouse with my partner, believe it or not, shockingly enough. And you know, it looks like we're on different teams. It looks like, oh, Sachin, you're not on my team in the relationship. And I'm definitely not perfect, bro. I've done a lot of stupid things which I wouldn't do again. But there's been times where I've done something for us, haven't explained it very well, and it looks like I've done something just for me and fuck this other person. And I think like just getting back onto our own team together, parent relationships, coach-client relationships, friends relationships, spouse relationships, is it's like the key ingredient for making sure that this self-righteousness doesn't creep in and ruin everything.
Yeah, love that. Do you know what I loved in the movie as well? This is a total random thing. You know the bit where Miles goes into the lobby of all the Spidermen, and there's like thousands of them, and there's like all the different ones. First of all, I love some of the throwbacks. There was like some of the villains showed up from like the 90s series. There was
Childish Gambino was in it.
Childish Gambino was in it as the Prowler. There was the PS4 version of Peter Parker or Spider-Man. But my favorite one,
Cowboy.
Peter Parked Car.
Oh, that was so sick. I couldn't stop
Peter
laughing.
Parked car.
Because it took me a second to get it. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I was cracking up in the cinema to myself. There's only about 4 people in the screening, so I went like midday.
Oh mate, that was funny. But no, the Scarlet Spider-Man.
Yeah,
he's so funny, man. So dramatic. The lobby you were saying.
Yeah, no, that was it. I love that bit, Peter Parker. I just wanted to make sure we put it in.
You're so immature. Oh shit. You know what I really liked? So you know Spider-Man's mom and dad, they're Puerto Rican, innit?
Yeah.
And or Dominican, I can't remember. And
Rican.
there's like a bit of Spanglish mixed in to the movie. And I'm like, oh, I can understand what they're saying, sick. And then I thought about it, I was like, huh. There's like he's in 2 worlds constantly, yeah.
And a B in Spanish.
What? Ooh, okay.
Miles,
Are you trying to
mira,
kill
eso
your
es
mother?
imposible.
Cálmate, mami. Eso no es my fault.
Like he's Spider-Man and he's Miles. He's Spanish speaking, English speaking. He's Dominican, American. He's a school kid and he's Spider-Man. Like there's so much going on in his life, and it reminds me of me. Like all of us, I think, can relate to this, but I'll speak for myself. There's worlds that I'm in. So I'm a coach, and I'm also I was gonna call myself a kid. I'm 30 years old. Do I still count as a kid?
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Kid forever, innit?
Yeah.
I'm a kid everywhere I go.
We're worldwide even when we're at home. So stupid. I love this though, man. There's like a real paradox in here. I'm really hardcore and serious about some stuff, and at the same time I don't give a shit. And it reminds me of George Pransky's audio, The Game of Life and Living. For those who don't know, George Pransky is a very well-known coach, and he's revolutionized a lot of corporate companies with the way he works. And one of the distinctions he makes is between living and the game of life. So living is your quality of life every day, just the general everyday things you do, how you feel on a daily basis. And the game of life is like, okay, you're growing a business, you want to make money, your game of life stuff has a score. It's like an arcade machine with a score, whereas living stuff is like free roaming the map, like GTA, you could say. And these two things are directly related, but winning in the game of life doesn't increase your living. Increasing your living can definitely increase your game of life results. And I feel like this is what I was looking at with Spider-Man. Like Miles, his living quality is shit because he's lying to his mom and dad and a bunch of other stuff's going on. His game of life stuff with Spider-Man is okay, but it could be way better. And when he starts to get around these people and he starts to be accepted by them, or he thinks he's being accepted, his living increases and his Spider-Man game goes up a bit. Like, you see a real difference. Remember when they're in Mumbattan? Oh,
I wanted to ask you about that.
I loved that.
Being Spider-Man is so easy. I wake up, skip the workout because I'm naturally buff and I don't want to get too big, you know?
What's that? The Indian Spider-Man with the hair.
What was his name?
My name is Pravitra Prabhakar.
I can't remember.
Well, let's call him Punjab Parker for now.
He's not even Punjabi, you fucking racist.
What did you just say? Chai means tea, bro.
You know, his girlfriend's called Geeta or Gayatri or some shit like that. I can't remember. Yeah, he was fucking hilarious, man. He made me laugh a lot. But yeah, when they're in Mumbattan.
This is where the traffic is. This is also where the traffic is. There's traffic here.
By the way, I love that. That's really good. He's like part of the team. He's really gassed, and like his living is going up and his game of life score is going up.
Yeah.
Another part of Spider-Verse that I thought was really interesting was the baby thing. You know, Peter Parker has the baby.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, oh, like my life's totally different since I had this baby. I was having this conversation with my Uber driver recently about how when I read the Quran, and I'm not Muslim, but it really helped me to wake up to how selfish I was being. Like, my life was totally about how I feel. And that's why I was so messed up. And I love that Peter Parker is like, he's demonstrating when my life's not about me, it can be amazing. When it's not just based on how I feel, like so many great things can come out of that. And now that like his life is really dedicated to his baby, it's calling different things out of him. And it really is putting me in touch with what am I giving to that's bigger than me. If I'm giving to something that's bigger than myself, I will receive multiple million folds because of that. And living a me-centric lifestyle, as I like to call it, is just one of those things. Like you're always at the mercy of how you feel. You're always like fucked up about life because you feel this way, then that way, then this way, then that way, and you're getting pulled in loads of different directions. But Peter Parker's little baby is just giving him a true north to look at. Like, regardless of how I feel, this is the direction I'm going in. I think that's super important for all of us.
I think and I ask my mates who have kids this all the time, was like, how's your perspective of life changed since you've had kids? And they're like, massively. Because all of a sudden, everything you're doing isn't for you. All of a sudden, it's like you've got this tiny human puppy to take care of. And, you know, you're basically growing a young human, you know, like helping them come up in the world with values, it's a totally different way of experiencing life. And this is going to sound like a really stupid comparison, but I experienced something different when I played football and I was I was part of the team, to when I then started coaching the kids team. It's like your perspective on the game of football and the way that you approach it, it's entirely different, because it's not just like, okay, this is my role in this team or in this life as it was before. This is now, my role is about multiple people and helping get the best out of them as a football coach. And I'd imagine as a parent, it's a similar thing, where it's like, my role isn't just about me and myself, it's about this little person or people that I'm growing and helping to raise. And it's like, that must be a massive shift in perspective. And I think it's really good for us, man, because, you know, I think you start to take on a different energy with certain things, you know. I think it's a good perspective to see. And it doesn't have to just be about kids, but like It is, man. It's a big shift. You know, your total perspective on life will be on a next level.
Well, I think across the Spider-Verse, a big takeaway I took was when your life has lies in it as a standard, oh, nightmare, so heavy. You know, like, look at they were all lying to Miles because he's an anomaly and we gotta keep an eye on him. He can't be a part of the crew, and like they don't feel good about it. He obviously feels like something's up, and then drama ensues. And I think, like I said this to one of my clients, clean hearts win every time. I don't have secrets. I don't have stuff like that I don't want to say to people. I don't tell lies. It's all above board, and everyone knows what time it is with me. And I think like that's a big takeaway from every part of this story. Could have been like no drama, or the problems could have been minimized if they were just truthful and open with each other. It's not always the easiest thing, but just own it. Like, yes, I fucked up. Yes, this, yes, that. I think it always pointing us in the direction of true north.
Yeah, I love that. I think, man, overall, man, I think it was a great movie. Like, there were so many amazing like storylines and learnings in it, and visually it looked great. And like, there'll be a part 2 coming out, I think, next year, which is...
Yeah, I was surprised to see a cliffhanger, because as we were getting to the end of the movie, I was like, right, you're building up this.
I was like, they're going to be wrapping this up real soon.
Yeah, but that's cool, man. I like leaving you on a cliffhanger sometimes.
Yeah, it was nice. But yeah, man, like I was. Have you? I told you in it about Free Guy. Have you watched it?
I haven't watched it. I've seen a bunch of trailers, I've seen a bunch of people talking about it a while ago when it came out. It never really spoke to me, so
mate,
I didn't
watch it. I'm telling you, and I'm doing the hand gesture, the Italian
oh my God.
chef's hand gesture, whatever they call
just so
it.
everyone knows, that's a rare occurrence around here.
It's a good movie, man.
I can try and do it, but it doesn't really work.
It doesn't have the same effect, mate. Because basically, like to give context to the movie, right? And I think this came out like last year. So we'll put the spoiler alert out there, but you should have watched it by now. But basically, the movie is Ryan Reynolds, and he plays a character called Guy, and he is basically he lives in a video game world, and he's basically one of the NPCs, which is the non-playable characters. So for those of you who aren't familiar to video games, if you play something like GTA, you're running around the map, and there's like pedestrians and shop owners and stuff that you can interact with, but you can't play as them. They just sort of got like automated movements and automated lines, and they're just sort of background characters. So Ryan Reynolds' character Guy is an NPC. He's a background character. But basically what he ends up doing is like breaking out of the mold of being a background character. He's like, why do I have to live my life this same way over and over again every day? Like, he's like, no, like I want more for myself. Like I want to experience something different. And he basically starts breaking out of being an NPC, and the people who own the game in the movie, they're like trying to figure out like, who's this character that's running around like dressed in the costume of like an NPC. Like they think it's a hacker, innit? They're like, there's a hacker who's like who's breaking into the game and like tricking us, thinking that there's an NPC running around doing stuff that he shouldn't be doing, and they're trying to figure it out. But it's actually just like the character in the game, because it's all run by an algorithm. He's obviously like, no, I don't want to be living my life like stuck in certain ways. And there's certain characters, like towards the end of the movie, he rounds up a load of the NPCs, and there's one guy who's got his hands in the air like a surrender type thing, and he like can't put them down, and he's like, come on man, you can do it. And he's like trying to put his arms down. He's like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not there yet. So it's like a really funny play for me on like the are you just living your life just because, like the game of life, living life thing, like we were saying, are you just living your life just because, or are you actually wanting to go out and create a life that you want for yourself, away from, you know, again, similar to what we were saying earlier, I suppose, like the way that it looks like it should be going. And it's just a really cool perspective on it, man, because it's like basically the technology in the game has got so advanced within this one particular character that he's kind of like breaking the laws of the game within the game. And it's kind of like, I was kind of looking at it from the perspective of like, is that kind of what humans are like? This is going to sound really deep, but are we just like really smart AI. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
universal AI.
We're programmable.
Yeah, that has taken on its own lease of life, and then within that, we're now seeing people waking up as well outside of that programming that we have to start to like live in a different way, or show up in their life in a different way, or do things in a different way, or be different.
All right, so this, sorry to interrupt you. This reminds me of something I was listening to recently from our good friend Andrew Tate. Hey, look, first of all, yeah, free Tate. Yeah, he needs a hug.
And then put him back.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Look, I don't know if he did it, whatever. Yeah, let's not get into all of that. I just really like this thing that he was talking about. And when it comes to people like Andrew Tate, I'll listen to what they say, I'll look for truth in it, and then I'll look in the opposite direction and I'll look for truth in that. But hear this, yeah, there was an experiment done with these chimps. So let's say there's 5 chimps in an enclosure and there's a banana up there. Now, anytime one of the chimps went to go and get the banana, they would hose all of the chimps. Yeah, so spray them all down with icy cold water. Eventually, when one chimp would try and get the banana, the rest of them would drag them down, beat them up because they didn't want to get sprayed. And then they would take one of the chimps out and swap them out for a new chimp. So there's still 5, but there's one new. The new chimp would see the banana and be like, oh, let me go and get the banana. And all of the other chimps would beat him up because, no, you're not going to go and get it because we don't want to get sprayed. Eventually, they swapped out all of the chimps for 5 new chimps, and none of them were going to get the banana. That is a great representation of how programmable we are. Look at in our society today. You can't say this, you can't say that, you can't say this, you can't say that. If you say this, you'll get cancelled, it'll be bad for your business, you'll get in trouble. So eventually people just don't do stuff. And it's become, you see this in traditions, right? I'll come from a Punjabi family. There's certain things that you just don't do. And why? We don't even know why anymore. We're not even questioning it. And it's like, it's a nod in the direction of how programmable we are, and yet we have the capability of waking up.
Yeah. Do you know what? It really reminded me of the conversation we had with that kid in the, I say kid, he was like 20.
Cyrus. Shout out Cyrus.
Shout out Cyrus. So
Great
me and
name.
Sachin did a workout together, and then we went and sat in the hot tub, and we got chatting to this guy in the hot tub after, and it was this kid called Cyrus. And we were just asking him about his life, what does he do? And he said he studies and he doesn't know what he wants to do after that. And the more we spoke to him, the more he was like, well, I know what I don't want to do. And, you know, we were in a building where Sachin lives, which is next to like where Amazon have their HQ. And he like pointed out the window. He's like, I don't want to be an NPC like some of these guys. And we were laughing about it because he was like, you know, I don't want to have a life where I'm just chained to a desk just because that's what, you know, society tells you we should be doing, and it's going to earn you money, because there's so many ways to earn money in 2022-3 that we're in. And it just, when I was watching Free Guy, it was before that conversation, and when we were having that conversation with him, it just reminded me of it. It's like, yeah, we're so programmed to thinking like it's good for us to be shut in an office 5 days a week, 9 to 5, you know, small windows, barely any daylight, sitting down at a desk all day, fluorescent lighting, minimal communication with other people, staring at a screen. That's like as far from normal as we can live. Like, we're animals, isn't it? Like, we're creatures, living creatures. Like, if you look out the window, if you put a fox, and I say that because I've got the foxes that I observe out my window all the time. If you put a fox in those conditions, in a room with fluorescent lighting, no daylight, just with a screen in front of them, and they're sat down in a position that's not natural to them all day, they would deteriorate so quickly health-wise. And it's like, you know, when Cyrus was saying to us, like, I don't want to be an NPC like that, he's identifying, like, I don't want to live my life in a way that people are just living their life just because, and they don't even know why they're doing it. They think they do, but they don't know why, because in this day and age, and this is one thing that I was really happy to see within the pandemic and lockdowns and stuff like that. It was like, it showed people like, oh, actually I can do my job and not have to be in an office all day. Like, this feels really weird, but I can do it. Because how many jobs do you actually do that you need to be somewhere specific? Dentist, physiotherapist, shop owner. I can't think of too many. Lawyers don't, unless they're in court. Finance people don't. HR people don't. Tech guys don't. They just need a computer. Coaches, like there's so many job roles that are, you don't need to be in a specific place to do your job. And it's like, I really rated that Cyrus kid because he was like, yeah, I don't want to have that. I don't want that. Like I want to be able to like live the game of life and have the good living of life as well at the same time. And I think like Free Guy was really shows you that. It's like you don't have to just live like that because that's how you're programmed to live. It's like you can actually step out of your programming, and it really ties into this whole conversation. You can be the anomaly in your group of circle of friends or whatever, or your society or your social circles. You can be the anomaly, and actually you can show people that they can break out of their programming as well. And that is like, if that's not like having a massive influence in people's life, I don't know what is.
I just think like there's with the term NPC, I had a superiority complex with this, and with superiority to others comes inferiority to others. And I used to put people on pedestals, and I used to look down at having jobs and shit. I've come to see like NPC life, if we want to call it that, isn't bad and it isn't good. And the same with like waking up and creating our own path. It isn't bad or good. There's just choice. You can have one or the other. You can have whatever you want. And I used to feel like there was a pressure to wake up and do something and be different. But if it's as natural as breathing, it will just happen. But it's a paradox as well. Like, yes, it's as natural as breathing and it will just happen. And it has to be chosen every day. Like the red pill, blue pill thing from the Matrix.
You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
You got to red pill yourself every day. If you really want out of NPC life, like I did and like you did, there's like you said, we were coming back to sacrifice. There's things that we don't do anymore. When's the last time you got drunk?
At my friend's wedding about a year ago. And I only had a few drinks.
Yeah,
it's because I was nervous because I had to give a speech.
The last time I got drunk was 8 years ago. The last time I was really off my head, not knowing what I'm doing, probably about 8 years ago. Like I don't really get fucked up anymore. And it's not because, I'm too serious and I need to be responsible. It just doesn't appeal to me. And there's consequences, man. Like I went kickboxing the day after I went to a rave. I don't really want to keep doing that, man. It's quite tiring.
Yeah.
But coming back to the waking up thing, it's like the more we wake up to our true nature, the more in alignment we get with things that are actually helpful for us and good for us.
Yeah, and I think again, man, like we were saying before, like it's not to put the NPC thing in a bucket of bad. It's like it's an invitation to wake up to conscious choice, like. Because I know people who go into an office every day and they love it. Like people who, where I used to work at the BBC and Radio 1 and 1 Extra, people go into that office every day and they're thriving because they're like, I love this. They're choosing to be there, So it's cool. Like, and I enjoyed it to a certain degree when I was there. And then, I got into obviously more coaching and I was like, okay, I don't need to be here anymore. And it's like, it's just seeing like, are you awake to the choices that you have? Or are you closed off to the choices that you have? And, oh man, there's a sick line in Straight Line Leadership, going back to the book, where he says, like basically help someone see like how they want to live their life. And then he asks, are you open to it? Are you open to this actually being a possibility for you? Because up until this point in your life, you've been closed off to this being a possibility to you. And that's what we're saying. It's like, it's not saying you have to live your life in this way or in a certain way, but are you open to the possibility of it? Because then it comes down to choice. Do you want to choose it or not? Or do you want to choose this or not? Or do you want to choose that or not? Or do you want to choose that or not? And that's it.
I love the distinction of the reported world and the created world. We could do a whole episode on Straight Line Leadership. We could do like 20 episodes.
We'll break down the whole book. Go completely against the whole theme of the podcast. Maybe we'll do that for like episode 50 or something, like a random one.
Yeah, just red herring in it.
Yeah,
throw it
just
in
go
there.
raggo.
Yeah, I'll watch our views go down. People watch like 3 minutes. Like, fuck this.
And then we get all of these like high performing business people watching that one episode and then being like, hold on, what's this other episode about Spiderman?
So reported world, created world is one of my favorite distinctions because it's pointing to something that we take for granted a lot. So in the reported world, it's a bad time to start a business. The economics of the world, blah, blah, whatever. My business is thriving. Why is that? Some people are really struggling. Some people are thriving. I'm not special in that case. Like, it doesn't just, the world doesn't apply to me. It's because I choose not to buy into the reported world. I don't watch the news. I don't get updates on the stock market, and it doesn't play into how I'm playing the game of life. I'm just having fun. I'm having a good time. Let me go and try stuff out. But people who are really bought into the reported world, they're at the mercy of what's happening out there. I remember I said to some guy asked me, like, I must have said I don't watch the news. He goes, well, how do you know what's going on? I said, why would I need to know that? And he goes, well, what do you talk to people about? I'm like, really important things, life. He didn't compute, didn't register. I think when we're living exclusively in the reported world and we're constantly buying into it, there's no opportunity for creating something different. Like, you know, that example Caroline brought up with the sushi samba.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's so funny, man. I'll tell that story another time. Anyway, it's about time to wrap up.
Yeah, it is. Before we do...
Wait, hold on. I watched Wolf of Wall Street recently. I'm just going to spitball for a minute. It was such a funny movie. Jonah Hill, amazing. He's one of my favorite actors.
So good.
Leonardo DiCaprio was great in it. Really diverse range of things that he was getting up to in the movie. I really enjoyed it. One part that really stood out to me, when they started, they said you're lower than pond scum. And then when he brought on his own employees, he didn't treat them like that. He was speaking to, like, inspire them. When he started at that stock trading firm, they were treating him like trash. When his people started with him, he was like, oh, I'm gonna be good to them, and like, let's go, you know, like, let's get it together. And he's rewarding his staff with all this crazy stuff, like strippers and throwing midgets at the little sticky thing, and it's just like we have a crazy party on a yacht and all of that. And then the money gets to his head, right? And he says something like, oh, what do you sit on the subway with, like, a crappy suit and all of that? Like, you know, I could give you some money and it will change your life. And it really spoke to how people view money as this thing. And he even says it in the beginning, like, he takes a cocktail of loads of different drugs, but the number one drug in his life is money. And it got me thinking, like, if my relationship with money was such that it wasn't really a thing. Like, you know, when you turn on the light switch, you don't look at electricity like it's a drug. Like, oh my God, I got electricity. You don't do that. If I was to look at money like the same way, like, electricity is important, it powers my life. Money could be viewed exactly the same way, but they're two very different, like, lenses we have on them. And a lot of us put money up on this pedestal, which is why we don't have more of it in our lives. And I really, like, I was just getting this from the movie so much, like, there's such a like an idolization, like a deification of money. Like, it's a deity, it's a god, it's this, it's that. And if we didn't have that big charge on it, then it would actually be a lot easier to call into our lives. If someone says, sell me this pen, I'll give you $1 million. If $1 million didn't really mean much to me, just like 1 million units of electricity, it's like, no, I'll use it for something, whatever. If it's not going to change my life, 1 million units of electricity isn't going to change my life, Alex. It's not. It won't change yours either. But if $1 million, if we had the same view on it, it's not really going to change much. I'm going to hang out with my friends. I'm going to kick it with you. We're going to do this podcast. I would still coach people. I'd still charge money for it. I'd still be having a good time. I wouldn't be on holiday all the time. I wouldn't be buying lobster and caviar. I wouldn't walk around with massive gold chains. I'd probably look the same. I'd probably get more tattoos, but I'm going to do that anyway. Like, it wouldn't really change much. How would I sell that pen to that person? And everyone puts a lot of pressure on it. Oh, well, you know, the features and that guy goes to him, all right, write your name down on a piece of paper. He's like, I don't have a pen. There you go, supply and demand.
Yeah.
That was just like
such a good,
it's such a great nod in the direction of how are we treating money, and does it have the drug-like hold on us? And if it didn't, how would we play the game of life differently?
Yeah, I guess we'd be a lot more free, innit? We'd be like, and we'd create more freely, you know?
Yeah, there would be nothing on it.
Yeah, so just like, yeah.
1 million units of electricity.
Well, this ties into what we were saying earlier about doing the ordinary things. When
Yeah.
you look at it like that, just doing ordinary things, and then they lead to extraordinary results. But the extraordinary results are only perceived extraordinary results because they're extraordinary in big inverted commas in other people's minds, not yours, because you're just like, well, I didn't really do much to do this. I just spoke to a few people, or I, you know, just showed this person, oh yeah, like you need a pen, here's the pen, supplying them or whatever, you know. And it's breaking things down in a way that just simplifies what are the ordinary things that you need to do to have what you want, basically, because that's it. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be this big like like I've put a load of effort and energy and I need
This
to
big
like
what?
I need to, like, you know, meditate on aligning myself for 5 years and learn all of this stuff. Just do the ordinary stuff.
Yeah, I loved that, man. And in, like, you know, I think he goes to prison for a while, and then he, at the end of the, or I don't know, I can't remember. He goes at the end of the movie, he's doing like sales seminars, isn't it? Sell me this pen, sell me this pen. And it's another nod in the direction of your life experience is your training. You know, like he's had great experience sailing, and now he's using it to do something else in the future. I have coaches say this to me all the time, like, I'm not qualified to whatever. I still don't have my coaching qualification, and I don't want it. I've coached hundreds of people. I'm not interested in a piece of paper telling me what I can and can't do. I'm interested in life is my training. That's it.
Yeah.
I think it's a great nod in the direction of, like, do what you can with what you've got.
Yeah, for sure.
What else did I watched something else recently. I think it was probably Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, you've watched that a lot. The
only thing that can defeat you is your own fear. Coming from Raiden himself. But we'll get into that another time.
But yeah, like if you've enjoyed this episode and you've liked what you've heard here, hit us up. We want to know what did you get from watching Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse? What did you get from Free Guy if you've seen it? What did you get from Wolf of Wall Street if you've seen it?
What did you get from Mortal Kombat? And I know you've seen it, so don't hold out on me.
Hit us up. Come find us on Instagram, TikTok, at Nerd Life Coaches. And if you like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Stay with us. Come find some more of our content, and we'll catch you for the next one.
Yeah, we'll see you in the next video.
Nerd
Life.